Because shortly after they went down the hallway, we boarded the plane.
And then, wow. And obviously, everyone should be talking. It should be all over the news. Who was the mystery man? Who could get through security? Who could bring this guy in? Who could get people on airplanes without passports, international flights, into the United States, some of the highest security in the world? I mean, this just gets crazier and crazier, Mr. Haskell. Uh-oh. We just lost his phone line connection to Michigan. Oh. Only seems to happen at times like that. And if you don't think they're surveilling Mr. Haskell, you're living on another planet, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, doesn't matter. The info's out. I've had some private conversations with Mr. Haskell, but I do wear a journalist hat as part of what I do. I'm also a filmmaker. I do editorialize as well. Also preach a bit. Some say rabble-rouse, but I do wear a journalist hat, and what is said in confidence is said in confidence. Absolutely amazing that just happened. Okay, we have Mr. Haskell back. Hopefully we can keep him for the last 10 minutes. Mr. Haskell, sorry you got cut off.
No problem.
Okay, we were getting up to the point, just briefly, of how could this person get him on the plane? I mean, what gravitas did he have with airport security?
You're asking me?
Yes, sir.
I really don't want to speculate on it other than, I can see three possibilities, and which one you think it was, I don't know. Three would be there was a bribe, there was some sort of personal relationship between this man and the security manager, and number three would be that this is a regular routine procedure to get on planes without a passport for refugees of war-torn countries.
Well, it's not. They've got to get special letters from the embassy. That's yeah, go ahead.
Pick which one of the three you think it is. To me, those are the only choices.
Or he was an intelligence agent telling the young fool he was part of a drill.
Okay.
Wow. Okay, once you're on the plane, you're coming into Detroit, what happens next?
It was a really uneventful flight. We're in the middle of our descent into Detroit. The pilot comes on the speaker, and he says we have 10 minutes to landing. Flight crew, take your seats and buckle up. A flight attendant walks by my seat, mumbling to herself, something smells like smoke. I look up. I'd previously been looking at the monitor on the back of the seat in front of me to get the flight conditions and everything because I like to watch that when we're landing. I looked up. I'm in row 27. I could see smoke coming from row 19, 8 rows up. It wasn't a lot of smoke at that time, and it looked like it was coming from the floor, but I couldn't see the floor because I was sitting down. So I unbuckled my seatbelt, took a few steps up the aisle to get a better look, and then it burst into flames across the floor, the seats, and up the wall to the ceiling. Just in row 19, and just to the seats left of the left aisle, which I think there were 3 seats, A, B, and C. When it burst into flames, people were screaming, "Fire! Fire! Terrorists! Water! 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 We need water! Somebody get water!" Flight attendants were screaming. The pilot comes on the intercom and says, "Emergency landing," and starts speeding up. And while this is going on, the terrorist man's being hauled off into the first class area by a couple passengers. He didn't really put up any fight.
Just to interrupt, Mr. Haskell, I also read and heard that the stewardesses were screaming, "Sit down," the whole time, and almost like it was a bad thing to have these men go up there and take this guy out.
I didn't see that, so I can't confirm that.
Okay, good. I mean, I hope that's not true. They were so foolish they wanted to wait for orders. Okay, continuing. So they drag him up into first class.
Yeah.
Now, did you hear this popping noise, or how loud was it? Because we heard about this big explosion, and then it was just a popping, and then people thought it was a firecracker.
Okay. Honestly, I didn't hear a thing. I asked my wife if she heard anything, and this is what she says about it. It sounded like what I thought was the landing gear coming out, And then she said, I heard like a little popping noise after that, but I just thought it was ice breaking off from the opening of the landing gear because we had been in really cold weather. And she said, you know, I thought that's what it was and didn't think anything of it. But myself, I didn't hear a thing, to be honest.
Absolutely. Well, there are so many things, Mr. Haskell, to talk about here. In the last few minutes we've got, and I want to say bye to you during the break. I know you've got to go. We appreciate this time. In the last 5 minutes, any other points you'd like to make, any key issues that haven't been discussed? And, you know, as a concerned citizen who could have been killed by this, as a free person, I mean, you do have a right to make any statements you want about the investigation. We are 5 days into this, and we've not seen any surveillance footage. The media doesn't seem concerned about eyewitnesses seeing a man videotaping the whole flight aimed at this guy. That's obviously an accomplice or a handler or something. We've got this other guy getting him through security. I mean, any other comments?
Just a couple things. I thought the security after getting off the plane was a complete embarrassment, total disorganizational mess that actually put us in more jeopardy than we were already in. Just quickly, two things. They left us on the plane for 20 minutes after we landed, not knowing if there was a bomb anywhere or whether the fire had spread below the floor into the cargo hold or by the gas tank. The original fire was directly above the gas tank in row seat 19A, number one. Number two, they should not have let us take our carry-on bags off the plane, and then even worse, stand all together with them for an hour before the bomb-sniffing dogs got there, not knowing if there was a bomb in any of the bags or not. And it looks like what appeared to be a bomb was discovered by one of the dogs. So those two things made us considerably less safe than we should have been due to what I would call a disorganizational mess. It appeared that none of the security officers had any clue on any procedure what to do. They didn't know who was in charge. It really took a long time to organize themselves and organize some sort of procedure on how to handle things, and in the meantime put us in a lot of jeopardy.
Okay.
And if, if you want to question me on anything else, feel free.
Well, let me do that here at the end, and hopefully we can have you back up a little bit in the days to come because you are and your wife are key eyewitnesses. And again, it's being confirmed by other people on the plane. We're going to play the clip after you leave saying this guy was videotaping the whole flight. Yeah. They've given multiple interviews. Very suspicious there. I've been given a quote here from you being interviewed on a radio show. I want to find out if this is accurate. You did tell me that you visited Infowars.com from time to time.
I did.
And I understand this is separate. Okay. I want all the information to be public, put in the public, to inform the public and to help law enforcement do whatever they can to solve this crisis. 8 years later, I am still irritated with 9/11, what I consider to be a 9/11 cover-up, and I personally have knowledge with this terrorist attack, and I am not going to let anybody cover up what I know. Kurt Haskell, attorney. Is that an accurate quote, and where was that said?
It's an accurate quote, but I don't want to get into any more detail on that because I don't want any kind of smear campaign against myself to discredit this story, which is an entirely separate story.
No, I understand. Well, there's other witnesses. They've got to release the surveillance footage. Other people are confirming things that happened. I mean, we know his dad warned everybody. We know he was on the terror list. He fits the classic M.O. Of a decoy, of a patsy. I know you're just stating the facts, but they're not going to be able to ignore you and your wife's testimony. And I think it's important for you to go public now, which you've done, but just thank God that there's so many informed people out there. Kurt, bottom line, the FBI showed up. They were clearly trying to impeach your I mean, they're clearly already aware of you. They're clearly upset by having I would say you are an expert witness. You're aware of this type of chicanery. You're a successful lawyer. Watch your six is all I'm telling you.
Yeah, I'm not scared of anybody. You know, whatever happens, happens.
Well, we need to get your wife on the air, too.
My mind.
No, I understand, but we need to get your wife.
Just so you know, my wife is very ill today. She's come down with a bad case of the flu, and she's really not doing any interviews today.
Well, obviously, our show's about to end.
This morning, and she felt very ill after that. Not from the interview, just she's pretty sick today.
No, I understand. Air travel can do that, and obviously a stressful event. Well, we appreciate your courage. We appreciate you telling everybody in a great, very focused